Let me ask you something personal. When was the last time you had a truly quiet moment in your own home? Not hiding in the bathroom with the door locked, not waiting until everyone else was asleep. A real peaceful moment in a comfortable space that felt completely, unmistakably yours. If you're struggling to answer that question, you're not alone. And your open floor plan might be a bigger part of the problem than you've ever allowed yourself to admit. Here's what I keep hearing from women just like you. They spent decades raising children in homes designed around family togetherness. Open kitchens so they could watch the kids while cooking. Combined living and dining spaces so everyone could be together. It made perfect sense at the time. It was practical, it was modern. But now, the children are grown, they've moved on. The house is supposed to be quieter, and yet there's still nowhere to truly retreat. Nowhere that feels like just yours. The open floor plan that once made family life easier now feels like living in a fishbowl, always visible, always accessible, never quite able to close a door on the world and just breathe. According to a Rocket Homes survey, preferences are now almost exactly split. 51% prefer open layouts, 49% prefer traditional. And the American Institute of Architects reports that requests for open concept layouts have dropped by over 40% in just 3 years. Something is changing. We're finally admitting what many women have felt for years, but we're afraid to say. The promise of the open floor plan doesn't always match the reality of the life we actually want to live now. In this video, 7 brutal truths about open floor plans that nobody talks about, ordered by what matters most to women who've spent their lives caring for others and now deserve a home that finally cares for them. Let's start with the truth that strikes deepest. Truth number 1, the privacy paradox. You raised a family. You deserve a room of your own. Virginia Woolf wrote that every woman needs a room of her own. She wasn't just talking about writing, she was talking about the fundamental human need for a private space where you can think, breathe, and simply be without being observed or interrupted. In an open floor plan, that room simply doesn't exist. Think about your life right now. Maybe you're at a stage where the house is finally quieter. The children have moved on to their own lives. You imagined this phase differently, didn't you? Reading without interruption. Pursuing hobbies you put aside for decades because there was never enough time. Having quiet morning coffee without anyone needing anything from you. But in an open floor plan, even when you're completely alone, you're never quite private. Your reading chair faces the kitchen you'll need to clean later, and you can see every dish waiting for you. Your craft project is visible from every angle, making you self-conscious about the mess. Your quiet coffee happens in the same space where the TV blares, where phone calls happen, where life continues without pause. And when family visits, when the grandchildren come running in with all their energy, when adult children stop by, when your husband retires and is suddenly home all day, the lack of privacy becomes almost unbearable. There's nowhere to take even a short break from the chaos, no door to close when you need just 5 minutes of silence to collect yourself, no space that is undeniably, unapologetically yours. One survey found that only 12% of people actually entertain in their kitchens, the primary selling point of open floor plans, which means for the other 88%, we traded privacy for a social function we don't really use. The emotional weight. For many women, the open floor plan represents the final chapter of a life spent being constantly available. You were available for your children around the clock, available for your spouse, available for aging parents, for friends in crisis, for everyone who needed something. The open floor plan continues that pattern architecturally. You're still visible, still accessible, still without a door to close. This isn't selfishness. This is recognizing that you've earned the right to privacy in your own home. What you can do, create a retreat zone even without walls. A reading corner with a high-backed chair facing away from the main space. A window seat with curtains that close. Consider sliding barn doors to close off a study. When open, you maintain flow. When closed, you have privacy. And have the honest conversation with your partner. Many women feel guilty asking for their own space after decades of shared family living. But this isn't about withdrawing. It's about having a place to recharge so you can be fully present when you choose to be. Truth number 2, the noise nightmare, your nervous system. Your nervous system deserves peace. Here's something nobody mentions about getting older. Our tolerance for constant background noise often decreases significantly. What felt like lively family energy at 40 can feel like relentless, exhausting overstimulation at 65. In a traditional home with walls, sound stays somewhat contained. The TV in the living room doesn't compete with the dishwasher. Someone can have a phone call while someone else watches the news. There are natural buffer zones between activities. In an open floor plan, everything blends into one continuous soundtrack. The TV, the dishwasher, the refrigerator humming, the conversation at the kitchen island, the dog barking. It all happens simultaneously, and there's absolutely no escape. For women especially, this constant noise creates what researchers call sensory overload. Your brain processes multiple streams of information simultaneously, whether you want to or not. By evening, you're depleted and exhausted in a way you can't quite explain. The grandmother. Reality. Let's talk honestly about what happens when the grandchildren visit. Those precious visits that fill your heart with joy, they also fill your entire home with sound. Little voices carry everywhere. Toys clatter, laughter echoes. And in an open floor plan, there's no escape valve. In a traditional home, children might play in the family room while you catch your breath in the kitchen. Or you might step into a quiet bedroom for a few minutes of recovery. In an open floor plan, the noise follows you everywhere. There's no door between you and the beautiful chaos. This doesn't make you a bad grandmother. It makes you human. Loving your grandchildren completely and needing occasional silence are not contradictory. They're both essential to your well-being. The couple. Challenge. After 30 or 40 years of marriage, most couples have developed a rhythm that includes time together and time apart. He watches his shows, you read your book. She makes a phone call, he works on a project. These parallel activities require some acoustic separation. In an open floor plan, his TV becomes the soundtrack to your reading. Her phone call becomes background noise to his concentration. Neither person is doing anything wrong, but the constant negotiation of shared acoustic space creates friction that accumulates over years. Sound-absorbing materials are your best friend. Heavy curtains, upholstered furniture, thick rugs all reduce echo and absorb sound. Soft closed cabinet doors eliminate kitchen banging for under $100. Consider white noise machines and designate quiet hours when the TV stays off and voices stay soft. Truth 3. The invisible labor. The mental load. Nobody validates. Here's a truth that hits home for women especially. In an open floor plan, the mess is always visible, and research consistently shows that women bear the majority of what's called invisible labor, the mental energy of noticing what needs to be done and maintaining the appearance of the home. In a traditional home with separate rooms, you could close a door on the mess. The kitchen could be untidy while you relaxed in the living room. Unexpected guests arrived, toss the clutter into a bedroom and close the door. Problem solved. In an open floor plan, there's no hiding anything. The dishes piled in the kitchen sink are visible from the sofa. The laundry you were folding on the dining table is on display when someone walks in. Every surface, every corner is constantly in your line of sight. This creates what psychologists call visual clutter stress. Even when you're not consciously looking at the mess, your brain processes it anyway. A low-level hum of, "I should deal with that," runs constantly, never letting you fully relax. For women who've spent decades managing households, the job is never done. Because in an open floor plan, the job is always visible. And here's the cruelest part. You can't even enjoy the satisfaction of a clean room because there are no rooms. Just one giant space that requires complete perfection everywhere to feel orderly. The hosting pressure. When you have guests, and women often bear primary responsibility for hospitality, everything must be perfect everywhere. simultaneously. The cooking mess, the living room, the dining area, all presentation ready at once. This is exhausting in a way that traditional entertaining never was. So what you can do is accept that good enough is good enough. You don't owe anyone a magazine-perfect home at all times. Strategic storage helps, ottomans that open, coffee tables with hidden drawers. Create a drop zone near the entry to contain chaos, and lower the bar for hosting. Real friends don't expect perfection. The connection matters more than the presentation. Truth number 4, the kitchen exposure. Your kitchen was your kingdom. Now it's on display. For many women of a certain generation, the kitchen was private territory. It was where you created, experimented, made mistakes, and ultimately produced something beautiful for the people you love. The process was hidden behind a door. Only the final result was presented. Open kitchens destroyed that privacy completely. Now the mess is visible while you're cooking. The pile of dirty dishes, the ingredients spread across every surface, the pot that boiled over. In a traditional kitchen with a door, none of this mattered. You could be as messy as the creative process required, then clean up before presenting the finished product. In an open kitchen, someone is always watching. Guests see the chaos. Family members wander through constantly. You can't have a private moment of frustration when a recipe doesn't work. You can't sing to yourself while chopping vegetables without an audience. The smell. Reality. Cooking odors don't stay contained. Bacon for breakfast? Your sofa cushions know about it. Fish for dinner? So does your throw blanket. Every meal becomes a whole house aromatic event that lingers in fabrics. What you can do: invest in a powerful range hood that vents outside, not one that recirculates air. Consider a kitchen curtain you can draw while cooking. If renovating, a scullery handles messy cooking while the main kitchen stays presentable. And embrace imperfection. Beautiful hosting memories come from kitchens where the process is visible. Truth number 5, the energy reality. You're paying to heat space. You're not using large open spaces are significantly harder to heat and cool efficiently, especially with high or vaulted ceilings. When living room, dining room, and kitchen are one massive space, your HVAC conditions. All of it, all the time. Even if you're simply sitting in one corner reading a book. With separate rooms, you can close doors. You can zone your heating and cooling. You can turn down thermostats in rooms you're not using. In an open floor plan, all or nothing. According to the United States Department of Energy, heating and cooling accounts for 35% of all energy consumption in buildings. In open floor plans with high ceilings, warm air rises straight to the ceiling where nobody benefits. The fixed income reality. For women managing household finances on fixed or retirement incomes, these energy costs aren't abstract. They're monthly bills that could go toward grandchildren, travel, hobbies. An open floor plan that seemed modern 20 years ago now means living with the utility consequences. Ceiling fans help significantly, clockwise in winter to push warm air down, counterclockwise in summer for cooling. Ask about zoning technology for new HVAC systems. Use textiles strategically. Heavy curtains, rugs, upholstered furniture absorb heat and sound simultaneously. Truth number 6, the identity crisis. Your home should reflect who you are. In an open floor plan, you cannot have different style in different rooms. Everything has to coordinate. The paint color in the living room must work with kitchen cabinets and dining area rug. Every design decision affects the entire visible space. For women who have spent years accommodating everyone else's preferences, kids' needs, partners' tastes, practical family requirements, the inability to express individual style feels like one more layer of compromise. In a traditional home, the dining room can have one mood, the living room another. Each room tells its own story, reflects a different facet of who you are. In an open floor plan, you are stuck with one story. Usually safe, neutral, will not offend anyone, a story that does not really reflect anyone's authentic taste. The evolution of self. Here is what nobody mentions. As we age, our sense of style often becomes more defined, not less. We know what we love now. We have earned the right to be surrounded by colors and textures that genuinely speak to us. An open floor plan requiring constant coordination feels like a design straitjacket at exactly the moment we want design freedom. Use furniture and textiles to create distinct visual zones. Different rugs anchor different areas. Vary lighting styles throughout. Don't fear strategic paint differences. A statement wall creates the illusion of separate rooms. And claim at least one space where you decorate entirely according to your taste without compromise. Truth number 7. The permanence problem. Some decisions can't be undone. When walls come down, things change that you can't easily undo. Load-bearing walls require expensive engineering. Original architectural details, trim, built-ins, are gone forever. And adding walls back is expensive. Framing, drywall, electrical work, paint, trim. Some designers now advocate leaving original room divisions intact. They argue the charm of older homes lies precisely in those defined spaces. The regret factor. Real estate data shows renovation regret is common, and floor plan changes are among the hardest to reverse. If considering opening a floor plan, pause. Live with the existing layout for at least a year before making permanent changes. What seems dated might actually be functional. If your open floor plan isn't working, explore non-permanent solutions first, such as large furniture pieces or half walls. If buying a new home, think carefully about what you actually need versus what you've been told you should want. So here's what I want you to take away from this conversation. If your open floor plan doesn't feel right, if you find yourself craving privacy, quiet, or a space that feels truly yours, you're not being difficult, you're not ungrateful, you're not failing to appreciate modern design. You're recognizing something important. Your needs have evolved, and your home should evolve with you. For years, open floor plans were sold as the ultimate in modern living. And for some stages of life, young families with children to supervise, people who entertain constantly, they make sense. But for women who've spent decades being available to everyone, always visible, always on call, the open floor plan can feel like an architectural extension of that exhausting reality. The good news is this: there's a middle ground. Designers are calling it the broken plan or semi-open plan. It maintains some openness and connection while providing options for separation when needed. Sliding doors, half walls, strategic furniture placement, zones defined by ceiling treatments or floor transitions. You don't have to choose between a dark, choppy house from the 1950s and a completely open warehouse with no walls. The best homes of today offer both connection and refuge, both openness and privacy, both flow and function. And here's what I most want you to hear. You deserve a home that gives you what you need. Not what the design magazines say you should want. Not what looks impressive to visitors. What actually supports the life you're living right now at this stage of your life. That might mean creating a reading nook with a curtain that closes. It might mean converting a closet into a tiny retreat space. It might mean finally having the honest conversation with your partner about quiet hours or designated spaces. These aren't selfish requests. They're the recognition that you've earned the right to peace in your own home. Here's my question for you. What would your ideal retreat space look like? If you could have one perfect corner entirely yours, what would be in it? I'd love to hear your dreams in the comments. If you're thinking about making changes to your home that support the life you actually want to live, I have a video about home features that make daily life genuinely easier. I'll see you in the next one.